Okay, so there are a few algorithm things that Twitter does that are, stupid and annoying, where you're like, oh, why would you even do, one of them that I guess kind of makes sense was that they downvoted posts that link to outside websites, right? Phyllis, like just in your brain, you're like, oh, well, they don't want people leaving the Twitter website, so they're not gonna, upvote anything
Right.
into anyone's algorithm.
Yeah. Why would you show something?
Yeah. So that is now looking back when I was popular and would get, 20 to 100 likes on every tweet that I made. I always noticed that when I would tweet out the AM link in the morning, it would get like 0 to 3 likes, and I could never figure it out. And I realize it's because they deprioritize anything that links outside of the Twitter website. The other thing they deprioritize, retweets, quote tweeting, which is that one.
Yeah, I actually have noticed that one.
Yeah, and it really is weird to me, because wouldn't you think they want people going around within the site finding new stuff like that? You would.
I wonder if like retweeting and quote tweeting creates redundancies. Like you don't want everybody in your feed to be retweeting the same thing simply because now your feed is just going to be all of the same thing.
So that's probably what it is. It's getting caught up in the algo that tries to not.
Like I feel like having comments on a tweet is very good because there's conversation going on in it, right?
Yeah. So normally when I'm about to make a trade, I usually have 2 coins that I'm looking at. And here, my main philosophy right now with trading is that you use the charts of spot, so that's ETH and Bitcoin, the majors, to figure out when you think we're about to get bullish or bearish, and then you play that trend with the alts, right? So I have a list. You all know my favorites, but I have like a list of alts that I tend to watch and wait for, higher time frame signals from spot to give me and. You would not believe. So I usually am picking between 2 coins when I decide I want to do something. And I bought Phantom at 22.5 cents yesterday. Yay, up a cent. So it's 5%, which is pretty good at 10x leverage, 50%. Can't complain. I was choosing between that and Ocean at 12 cents. Ocean just hit 21 cents in the opening minutes of the market. Yeah, I know coins trade all the time, but they tend to react to the morning open on the stock exchange. And the coin I picked up barely 5%, barely dinging anything. Had I picked Ocean, I'd be up a good 10x right now.
10x,
because 10x leverage. Ocean.
Oh.
Just about. I'd be up 7.5x right now. The one before that, I had the same choice. I could either choose A or B. I went with Phantom again over Mask, and Mask went up 40% the next day. That would have been a 4x. We need to do the opposite of what FMC is doing right now.
You're the counter trade.
So fucking frustrated. And here's the thing, both trades were right. I mean, I'm up 50% in Phantom. That's a great trade by anybody's measure to be up 50%. Yet somehow I have missed out on a 4x and an 8x because I chose heads instead of tens. Whatever. Anyway, I needed
a problem to have, man. Oh god.
You know how nobody wants to hear your bad beat stories? Like, I don't give a shit what cracked your aces. Like, it's
and then a 3 hit on the river.
Oh wow! Oh man, I didn't know it was going to be the 3. Now I'm interested. And no one wants to hear your you missed out on it. But fuck, does it not hurt your insides when you see?
The only time bad beats really suck are when you've gone outside of your, I mean, they always suck, but like when you've gone outside of your bankroll, like strategy, right? It's just like that would have made a really big difference to you and now you're fucked.
And look, there's levels, right? There are
Which is your own
coolers,
fault.
which are the baddest of bad beats. And then there's just like, you know, you got your aces cracked by kings, which sucks, but you know, it happens. And then there's shit where your straight flush gets
isn't it like
cracked
a
by a
20%?
royal. Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's not out of the realm of reasonable. Like, but I always loved playing with those people who'd be like, I just fold my aces pre-flop. I'm like, what? They're like, it just never works out well for me. Like, then you're not playing it properly.
Well, let's just look at your average poker player. Okay, let's say your average online player plays 100,000 hands a year. That means they're going to get aces about. Yeah. Let's say that means they're going to get, well, I played 1 million hands over 7 or 8 years, but I did play a lot. So once you get 1 million hands under your belt, I consider you a good poker player. But if you play 100,000 hands a year, you're going to get aces 500 times that year. All right. That means
you're going to
you get aces 200 to 1. And every 200 hands you get aces. Am I wrong? Has it been that long? Isn't it 221 to 1 to get a pair of aces?
Oh, I don't know. Actually,
let's look it up right now.
It just seems low, but yeah, I got
it's been a long time. I think it's 200 to 1, right? 100,000 divided by 200 is 500 or 500?
Odds of getting dealt pocket aces. Oh, it kind of depends on how you look at it, but yeah.
Is it 200?
It is 221 to 1, yes.
Okay, yeah, it's 221. I knew it. Ha! So you're gonna get aces like 500 or 600 times a year on average. Okay, you're gonna lose 100 times with aces, just by the math. Okay, that's not, you know,
and that's if your head's up.
Exactly. Oh my God, if you're up against 2 or 3 people, like you know. That's why people tend to try to force you out before the flop. You only want to be up against one person at most. You prefer everyone folds usually. Well, anyway, market.
Wow, but still, you're always going to have pot odds pre-flop to shove.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could get called by all 10 people, and you should want to take that bet every single time. It's going to suck because you're going to lose a bunch of them, but you're going to make that money back. Your expected value is always very positive. Yes, in a cash game. Tournament,
there are many cases in which you would fold aces and kings pre-flop. Many cases. Remember.
Yeah, against it. Yeah, for sure. I never really played a lot of tournaments, so I'm always in like a cash game mentality.
When you're sitting down at a cash game, you are theoretically risking an amount of your bankroll that if it went bust at the table, that's fine for you. That's like a bit, you know, you're sitting down with you're not sitting down with half your bankroll or a quarter of your bankroll. You're sitting down with what you believe you can lose in any session.
If you're playing with any amount of seriousness, you should have at least 20 buy-ins. If you're playing with a lot of seriousness, you should have at least 50.
Right. And if you are sitting at a table and have determined you have an edge, if you get busted, you'll put more money on the table. Now, if you've determined the players at the table are better than you, there's no reason to put more money on the table if you've been busted. But if you really think you have an edge and you get busted, you'll just put more money on the table. Tournaments are life or death, okay? One wrong decision, and that's the end of your day, okay? Bye-bye, good night. You can't buy back in. I know nowadays most tournaments are rebuys early on because they've just gone full degen on most online sites, and you can buy into most tournaments up to 2 hours, I think, after they've started. But in general, tournaments you think about completely differently. There's many situations you'd fold aces or kings pre-flop. In a cash game, you just never would because you know over time that bet is going to pay you even if you lose in the moment. And it's all about pot sizing, how much you know, there's a lot that goes into your risk reward profile for each hand. But
yeah, it's like I always like the simplest way to explain it to, and I'm sure anybody listening to this probably knows, but it was just like if you were to play a coin flip game, right? And every time you win, or every time I win, you're going to pay me $1, and every time you win, I'm going to pay you $5. You're going to take that all the time. You're going to do that until the end of eternity, until I'm broke, right?
Yep.
Because the expected value is just incredible. That's the same thing. It's not quite as simple as that, but anyways, what the hell?
Right. I know
Normally, this is
we
the
should.
end of the show. We might as well just wrap it up now. The poker talk is done.
Well, let's also. I mean, everyone knows many poker players are in crypto. Many poker
Yes.
players are traders, and many poker players have gone on to careers in finance because it is largely the same skill set, which is
Risk management and
risk
tolerance
management, right?
and dispassionate thinking, not letting your emotions take over.
And it's like everyone kind of knows those things, but it really is the secret because if you understand your probabilities, like I'll win this bet X amount of time if I do this, it really only comes down to how well you manage your bankroll.
Mhm.
That's really, once you know the odds and you understand the odds on a bet. In poker, there's a lot of right. You can't see the other person's cards. Of course, there's always that factor. But in general, this is why it works in trading. It's why it works in poker. And it's basically the same things.
GM, Monday, December 12th. We are on episode 175? 74. 174 of the AM show. My apologies for not doing a show on Friday. That was my bad. I had some scheduling issues that I couldn't get out of. I know I did try, but this week should be back to normal. Shouldn't have any issues being on for the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday edition. So happy to be back up here with you, Free Market. How was your weekend?
Weekend was great. It got cold.
Did you get the snow?
No, see that I was about to say. So disappointed because it just missed us. Today it would be cold enough to get snow, yet the rain was yesterday. So
Gotcha.
we didn't get any snow. We are now 13 days away from Christmas, and we will see if Mother Nature decides it's a white Christmas in New York. Anyway, I love the cold weather.
I feel like a white Christmas in New York is just like so like apropos, like it's necessary. You see all those movies, like so many Christmas movies are like in New York Christmas time.
There's a reason, and people don't understand that New York City is largely responsible for what you understand today as a modern Christmas. Had you gone back,
here we go. All right.
Had you gone back to
New Yorker here, you signed Aaron Judge. Just fuck off.
Had you gone back to England in the 1700s and participated in Christmas, you probably would have been quite unease because it would have reminded you more of something like maybe Mardi Gras or a rave. It was really about
that sounds way better. What did you guys ruined? New York ruined Christmas is all I'm hearing from this.
In fact, Christmas became so debauched that it was made illegal in England. It was one of the top reasons the Puritans overthrew the king and they made Christmas illegal. And when a king was reinstalled and Christmas made legal again, where did the Puritans flee? The United States of America. And in New England, Christmas was largely a naughty holiday that was not celebrated. You can, in fact, go to the almanac and see that it says, do not allow your children or servants to run too far abroad at night on Christmas. Because, again, this was a time of trick or treat. People would show up at your house. Carolers were a mob that showed up at your house and sang. And if you didn't come out and give them some food and some alcohol, they would start breaking your windows with rocks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I do get a little bit of a mafia vibe from carolers sometimes, where they just show up unannounced and would be like, it would be a shame if we just kept singing and disrupting your night.
Christmas was much more like Halloween and Mardi Gras put together until the Dutch colony of New York, in which many
was that what it was called, New Amsterdam?
New Amsterdam, and of which many of the residents brought their traditions of Sinterklaas. A man named Robert Clement Moore, wrote what we know today as the night before Christmas. This was the first instance of a man named Santa Claus. This was the first instance of reindeer. This happened in New York. He was a clergyman, and he even wrote it under a fake identity because he thought it was too secular. That a priest could not write such a secular thing about Christmas that had nothing to do with the birth of the Christ child. It was crazy. But New York City, largely responsible for what people today understand as Christmas, with Santa Claus. Rudolph was invented in New York, the reindeer, the whole bit. So New York City is Christmas.
Well done. I don't know how you know any of this, and honestly, you could just be making up shit the entire time, and I'd be like, "This is fascinating." Yeah, great.
Yeah, no, we love Christmas. It was so illegal in England, they had to change Christmas pie to the name of mince pie. So what we know today as mince pie used to be called Christmas pie. That's the last fact.
Yeah, shout out to England. Tough game against France on the weekend. Bummer.
Yeah.
World Cup turning into quite the surprising affair. Morocco. See, you know what? Actually, there's a lot of good feelings in Canada right now because, as it turns out, we were in the group of death, which nobody realized at the time. But Belgium, which was the number ranked 2 team in the world, Morocco, and Croatia. Morocco and Croatia both in the semifinals now. So good for us. We did all right.
Yeah,
I mean, we lost all 3 games, but as it turns out, they're all really good teams.
Yep.
Yes, I know.
I know.
Following closely.
I do think grass hockey has a big future. And
yeah, it's a decidedly popular sport around the world, but
yeah, like someone must have just one year. It could have been 100 years ago too. Someone must have just been sat there watching soccer and went, "You know what would be hilarious if we froze the ground, gave them large sticks, allowed them
turn the ball into a small rubber disc."
And everyone must have been like, "Oh my God, it's the perfect sport. You figured it out. Yet somehow we still play grass hockey today. It makes no sense."
Yeah, I love going to hockey games. Like my son's in hockey now. It's very enjoyable to go the arena, get your Timmies. Get all bundled up, and
come on, you're killing me. I'm coming up there right now.
Go yell at the other team's parents for 90 minutes.
Oh hell yeah! Sounds like
heaven. we're a violent bunch when it comes to youth, minor, non-competitive hockey. Like
that polite shit is just PR.
It goes right out the window.
Menace.
Yeah. It's always dicey when you're at the away team's arena too, and now you got to kind of sneak out the back.
It's what happens when none of the NHL teams are good. You have pee-wee hockey.
Yeah. Oh man! All right. Well,
NFTs, non-fungible tokens, great technology, a lot of potential.
Is that we just switched the whole content of the show up? GM guys, GM Fellboy. If anybody else, I know other people are listening, but throw a GM in the chat. Yeah, I know. Just
people were like, what?
Yeah, seriously. Content change. Well, I mean, if it's any indication of what's going on in the crypto market right now, which is absolutely nothing.
That conversation was more exciting than the price action in ETH.
Yeah, I mean, we log in and be like, crypto up 5%, up 18% on the week, down 20% on the week. Nope, we are just trading within a channel right now. ETH 1250, which is like smack dab in the middle of the range that we've been talking about for the past month. If I go 30 day, or we just
worst
smack dab
trade too.
I mean, we had a little bit of excitement with the FTX, and we kind of just traded sideways not pre-levels. There's the FTX thing, but
is there any?
I mean, even before, we had that incredible rally up, and then it just got swatted back down. And again, we're still in range. It's been since September we've been talking about these.
That's the Sam thing.
The Sam effect, right? Not overly exciting. Volume is low. Volume's low on NFTs. Bitcoin 17,000, nice round number. Again, smack dab in the middle of that range. Bitcoin's down more.
You know what really gets you? After years of this, you've been trained to if you walk away from the computer and come back, it's going to be a different price. Like even if it's just $5 or $10, and you're like, it's going to be a different. But you could come back 30 minutes later, and it's like at the
you could come back 30 days later.
Oh my God, it's crazy. And it's like, is there any worse place on planet Earth, maybe the whole solar system, than the middle of the range? Like no one likes the middle of the range. If you're short, you're like, fuck, this thing's going to bounce. If you're long, you're like, fuck, this thing's going to collapse.
Yeah, this is just waiting pattern. But I mean, I remember this kind of instance in 2020 where after we had that the COVID collapse and Bitcoin took a huge hit, ETH took a huge hit. And then we traded range bound for a long time. And I remember getting to that October, November, and we're talking what, 6, 7, 8 months now from that March drop. I remember thinking like, oh yeah, we're looking like super juicy. Like this is just coiled up into this tiny little range, and like we're gonna pop. And we did. That's probably the only good call I've ever made in trading in stocks, but charts, sorry. But this sideways action is going to it's not the volatility, it's not the downwards price that always drives people out. It's the just pure boredom. It's when, like you said in the pre-show, even the traders can't even make any money in this market, right? Right. Did you get rugged? We getting rugged? I don't know. Anyways.
Sorry, no. Sorry, I was on mute. I didn't realize. But traders are the lifeblood of the market. They are the liquidity, and
Right.
when they decide to throw in the towel, you get these long periods of apathy, and you need something to break you out. You need a catalyst, right? And what's crazy is we have had quite a few catalysts over the last month that would have propelled coins. So, I mean, again, the dollar rolling over is the most important thing for crypto, period. You would, at this point, I have just concluded that we would be down so much more had the dollar not rolled over. Like we are probably seeing gains from the dollar. It's masking the death that we would be in had it not reversed. So I think the real story for coins has been macro with the dollar and bonds, but with the FTX scandal, obviously we've been stuck in this range. And at this point, I don't believe it is because of the FTX scandal itself. Indirectly, yes, because now there is no liquidity. Alameda's gone. No one wants to trade. There's no more market makers. It's going to take, and maybe we're close to it, but it was going to take some time for new market makers to set up shop, do their calculations, hire their quants, figure out how they're going to approach it, and then re-enter the market, right? And I think Arthur Hayes, we all know who Arthur Hayes is. If you don't,
No, tell me. Who's Arthur Hayes?
he is a Bitcoin. He's a fund manager, a hedge fund guy, and he was a big Bitcoin person, and he has been both bearish and bullish at times. He writes very long think pieces. Crypto Twitter loves and hates him, but his stuff is listened to. And he wrote a piece which echoes something that we have talked about and something I have felt for a long time, is that we have exhausted sellers. There is anybody who wanted to sell coins or anybody who was forced to sell coins has been. There is nothing else waiting there of what we know. 3AC is dead. FTX is dead. Alameda is dead. All the smaller companies that were dependent on them are dead. They've all been liquidated. All right. And anyone that's in bankruptcy right now, remember, these are drawn out years-long processes. The coins don't get dumped they don't just market sell the coins once they're in their possession. These things get petered out over long periods of time. They're almost non-factors once the company goes into an official state-run bankruptcy. So we're at a point now where anybody who either wanted to or needed to sell has sold. That's why I don't think we're making new lows, okay? We're obviously not making new highs because there are no buyers either, but eventually boredom benefits the bulls. In traditional markets, there is the well-known platitude, never short a dull market, and that's because dull markets tend to lead to bull runs. Because markets tend to get dull for two reasons. They either just went up a lot or just went down a lot. And then you get sideways consolidation. Now, if you've just been down a lot, and then that sideways consolidation just continues to go on and go on and go on, people started to go, shit, we've probably run out of sellers because why haven't they showed up again? Where are they? What's going on? And this is what's happening in coins right now. And given how low liquid the books are, next move's probably going to be violent. It's probably going to be up. And I'm guessing it's going to be a response to something macro because I don't know what we have within crypto that's interesting or could get spot to move.
Right.
With the exception of maybe, okay, we have Sam speaking at Congress on Wednesday in front of Congress, mind you, U.S. Congress. So while I wouldn't expect him to say anything new, you would think his words have more weight here. And I would expect some Congress people who are not on his dole to basically say shit like, what the fuck are you talking? Like when he does that circular, like unintelligible talk where you don't even understand what he said. Like some senator's going to make a name for it. They're like, what the fuck, sir, are you talking about?
Yeah. What in God's name are you on?
Yeah. So we're going to see if because I think if we're thinking about FTX or even just within the crypto industry, one bullish thing that could happen, okay, is that FTX US announces that everyone's going to get their money back. That's bullish, okay? That would be a good thing. Otherwise, I think crypto is going to take its cue from macro. And we have a huge week starting tomorrow with CPI, core producer prices.
Oh, that comes out tomorrow. Yeah.
Consumer price index. Excuse me, I'm all over the place. The consumer price index.
We're waiting on finding out if they're gonna hike the rates again.
Right now,
because Canada just did it, and everyone was like, "Jesus Christ! Like, can you slow down a little bit?" And
well, even Elon Musk yesterday was like, "If the Fed raises next time, they're going to do that." Now, the Fed has already let us know that they're slowing down. Okay, they're going to do 50 next time, and they have, they haven't said it, but here's how the Fed tells you they're going to do something. They hint at it, and then the market starts discussing it. And then there's something called the Fed Funds Futures, and it's basically a contract that allows you to bet on how much they are going to raise. And
I love that we're such degenerates that, well, I guess it's a market.
Well, that's what's nuts. Like they talk about crypto. Go look at some of the exotic, ridiculous derivatives you could buy in traditional markets and realize they're just fucking gambling.
Can you what color tie Jerome Powell will be wearing? Like
not that bad. But what this means is that for weeks leading up to any Fed meeting, there's this thing that financial media can point to and go, there is an 80% chance the Fed is going to raise 50. Now, the Fed does not want shock, volatility, large moves, anything like that. If consensus is way off base, like let's say that the Fed either wanted to raise a lot more than that or raise a lot less than that, they would start leaking to the news media that it was going to happen. They would never say it directly, but if you go back, and I can't give you any specific instances right now, but if you go back and look, anytime that consensus has been way off base, the Fed will leak what they are actually going to do so that the shock is not as great. Now, again, they always do it through an unofficial channel. They never say it's them. And then the whole market goes, well, should we believe? Oh, you hear this rumor? Did you hear the rumor that the Fed's only going to do that? Or, blah, blah, blah. But that's how the Fed communicates. If they see that the market thinks something that thinks they're going to do something that they are very much not going to do, they will leak what they are actually going to do. So at least a certain portion of the market doesn't get shocked, right? They do not want full unexpected surprise in either direction. They don't want
they're pre-baking it into the price, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it is almost certain they are going to raise 50 tomorrow. Now, if core CPI came in double what we expected tomorrow, you could bet that there may be some change in those probabilities.
But you would also expect them to sort of leak that too, right? Like, you would start to hear rumblings that this shit is not going to look good.
If CPI came in hot tomorrow, you could expect a story from the Wall Street Journal within hours that said the Fed is considering 75 again. So, and that would be the Fed literally leaking it to the Wall Street Journal. So tomorrow we have consumer price index. Here is something interesting that has happened in markets. Once or twice a year, we get the PPI, which remember is the wholesale number. It's what producers and manufacturers pay for stuff. We always get PPI after CPI, 10 or 11 times a year. That's how it works. Every once in a while, because of holidays and scheduling, we get PPI before CPI. And when we do, it's almost always a good preview of what CPI is going to be. We got PPI last Thursday and it was hot. So if you made me guess, and econ data is so many variables and it is very, very difficult to do. But if you made me guess, I would guess CPI comes in slightly hot tomorrow. Okay. Then you have the FOMC meeting on Wednesday, which how much they raise is less of a story because, again, we know the Fed, if it wasn't 50, the Fed probably would have hinted to us by now that it's not. We know that it's 50. What's going to move markets tomorrow is not the decision. It is the debate and the press conference afterwards, because that's when you get a glimpse into their thinking, how they're looking at things now, and how they're looking at things going forward. And the Fed is a committee. It is there to debate things. There are always going to be hawkish members and dovish members, people who think we should be more aggressive in interest rate hikes, people who think we should be less. And this has been the whole time. What got very interesting this year was that almost the entire Fed was as hawkish as you've ever seen. You had every Fed governor max hawk in August at the Jackson Hole Fed meeting. So that's a rare thing. It doesn't happen a lot. At this point, you are going to start to see debate. You're going to say, when we get the press release and then the subsequent press conference afterwards, you're going to see some governors saying it's time to pause, it's time to stop, we've gone too far. And of course, you'll have the hawkish members temper it, but that's a signal to markets. The fact that the debate is even happening. It's not about who won the debate or who has a stronger, it's about that they're even debating it means the goalposts have moved. It means we are now in a different era. We are in the wait and see portion of this interest rate campaign. We have seen the most aggressive raises in decades. The economy has been so resilient. I mean, if you can look at markets this year and say one thing, it's that we have been way too optimistic on inflation abating. People thought it would abate sooner, but we've also been way too pessimistic on growth. I mean, the market, you look at the labor market, you look at corporate earnings, shit is chugging along. Look at services. I mean, one of the biggest contributors to inflation right now is services. People are eating out. People are going on vacations. That is what people are spending their money on right now. And because of that, we're now at a point where no one knows what's right. Good is good news good news? Is bad news good news? Do we want a strong economy? Do we want a weak economy? Is inflation a bad? Is it not? All this type of stuff. It's a confusing time in that respect. So what the Fed says after their decision is what the market is going to take its cues from. I personally believe the market's already decided what it's going to do. That's why even with a hot number tomorrow, I'm not worried. I will take some protection into it. In other words, I'll short futures or buy hedges on positions and not have any leverage, because when it comes in slightly hot, there will definitely be a reaction. The market may go down 100. ETH could dip to 1180. The market could go down, S&P down 150 points. I think that will quickly reverse either that same day or after the Fed on Wednesday. And eventually we will get above what has been the top of the range on ETH, 1310, 1320, and what has been the top of the range on the S&P, which is 4060. I do think the market has already decided it wants to go higher. My only caveat is if CPI comes in very, very hot, all bets are off. The market will tank. There's nothing you could do about that. Given the trend of what we've seen, I do not think it's going to come in hot enough to warrant a continued sell-off. An instant reaction, yes. You always get liquidity run on both sides, whether it's a good number or a bad number. And then bears celebrate for an hour, then it turns around and bulls celebrate for an hour. It's always funny after these big releases. But crypto, NFTs, traditional market. This is a huge week because this is the last big data week of the year. After this, everyone's on holiday. People
Yeah,
go on
it
vacation.
really goes quiet.
It goes quiet, but seasonality for NFTs and coins starts to get really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have a very small sample size to justify that seasonality, and I'm not overly optimistic that anything as exciting is going to happen the rest of this year. I mean, there's pockets of things going on in NFTs that are Valhalla, against, I guess, our prior belief when we talked about them just after mint, but pre-reveal, when we thought like they really don't have a plan here, seems to be completely wrong, and they actually do have a lot going on, and a lot of different dynamics at play. Some pretty big spaces. The gamification of the traits and all of that stuff. So they're holding some attention and doing pretty well. We'll get into that pretty briefly, but other than that, like I don't really see a crazy run like we're having for a little bit. And that's not to be overly bearish. I'm normally a pretty optimistic person. I just know what these markets tend to look like, having gone through it in the past. And I think that this, like, these moments of silence tend to drag on and on and on, and then you see who's left at the end of it, and then you start over again. So I mean, I don't have a lot of hope for anything overly exciting in the entire market for maybe months. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm getting worn down too.
Yeah, and I do think Bitcoin can get to 32K and ETH could get to 2,200 in the next month or two. But then I think it'll fall right back into this range. I think it would come
You
right
think
back
Bitcoin
into
could almost double in the next month?
Yeah, especially Bitcoin,
Wow.
because again, I don't think people understand what's about to happen with gold. I don't know how many people play traditional markets. I'm very bullish on gold and silver right now, if you want to get into that area. But as it's been made fun of a lot, and certainly everybody has loved the whole, oh, is Bitcoin an inflation hedge? I believe Bitcoin is digital gold. And I believe when gold, which also is supposedly an inflation hedge, but did not act as one this year either in the immediate term, in the short term, I think both are about to rally big. I think we are out of sellers, and I think that the book is so thin right now. But I think Bitcoin could easily be 20,000 by June again, easily.
I had this article pulled up, not because I wanted a long discussion about it, but it's so funny that these things pop up in the midst of the SBF FTX kind of scandal, that the U.S. Justice Department is mulling criminal charges against CZ. I know that this is a little bit long standing, but it's articles like this that make everyone go like, the hell, man. Like, SBF is just like this like low hanging fruit, and you're not even like, it doesn't seem to be that you're mulling criminal charges against him. Like, I find that I find that fascinating. I think it's really going to show how deep his pockets were in getting into all these people's good graces. But yeah, pretty interesting.
Yes, I think that right now we are seeing a campaign by, I'm sure, I mean, I don't know if Sam is some mastermind here, but I'm sure he's happily stoking the flames and doing whatever he can to contribute to it. But there is now a campaign to reveal Binance in a similar fashion as was FTX and 3AC and everything else we saw, as their audit has now come into question. The firm that was supposedly hired to audit them is denying a lot of what Binance has claimed. And, you just don't know. Nobody knows here. This is the same thing we've been saying on this show for weeks. I probably wouldn't have too much on any centralized exchange at this point, except what you are using to gamble on the coins on that exchange.
Correct.
But there is smoke about Binance, period. I have no way of knowing if it's substantiated, but I wouldn't have thought. I did not think that the FTX stuff was substantiated. Not at all. I right up until it was thrown in my face, I thought it was bullshit. I just could not I could not believe all of crypto Twitter was caught. I mean, after years of doing something, you develop trust with a certain, each person is good at something, right? Like each crypto Twitter person you follow has their expertise, their angle, their style. And when you understand them, you say, okay, I use this person for this signal, or this person is great at this type of stuff, right? All of crypto Twitter was scammed by this guy. 99%. Everybody I look up to. I didn't believe it until it was, right there in my face. But so same thing with Binance. Who fucking knows at this point? I wouldn't have believed FTX.
I'm going to bring up this article that I did have pulled up here about the Bored Ape lawsuit, the class action lawsuit that's been filed against basically MoonPay, Guy Oseary, all the celebrities that were involved in promoting the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And like this to me now seems like something that's just incredibly opportunistic with the time and kind of the general view on I guess the participants in crypto, right? Like I think SBF and I guess now CZ is making this probably the opportune moment to pull a trigger on a class action lawsuit like this. But essentially, it alleges that MoonPay and Guy Oseary worked with Yuga Labs to covertly pay celebrities to boost the popular NFT project. We have said it time and time again. The list of celebrities that are Bored Ape holders is absolutely spectacular. This class action lawsuit definitely includes almost all of them: Justin Bieber, Madonna, Steph Curry, Paris Hilton, and that is just the short list of the big A-list celebrities involved in that. But it kind of almost goes into this like conspiracy theory minded like that MoonPay is set up to basically be a front to pay celebrities as to promote the Bored Apes, and that this is Yuga that's kind of pulling the strings behind the scene, and Guy Oseary. I mean, I could see where you could start connecting some of the dots with the connections that Guy Oseary was using his extensive celebrity network to publicly support Yuga's products, including Bored Ape NFTs, in exchange for payments from Yuga secretly funneled through MoonPay. Oseary, also named as a co-defendant in the suit, was an early investor in MoonPay. I mean, smoke, fire, or just a shot at the dark to make a name for yourself, get some money out of people. I don't know. Like, how do you feel about this when you start to listen to the broad strokes of this article?
I think this is very common and typical and happens regularly, even in traditional markets, because people know that they will often just get paid off with a settlement. And
right, like just like a go away kind of check.
Yep. It's
yeah,
this is stupid.
I think so too, right? Like we're kind of seeing that with the FTX scandal as well. Like all of these celebrities that were paid to endorse it, like the Tom Brady was obviously a big part of it, and now I'm just drawing a blank on some of this. But there's how accountable should we be holding them? I don't know. Like to me, it's not like they were just pumping some like shit coin like Floyd Mayweather does, or there was the other celebrity they kind of got. Kim Kardashian kind of got dinged for like Ethereum. There was an Ethereum clone that she was promoting, and yeah, they paid their settlement and moved on with their lives. But I mean, those things to me, like that is a bit more of a shady type investment where you could be like, what is this? Who are these people? Why are they paying so much to promote this? But like FTX had the kind of the wool pulled over everybody's eyes for a long time. I mean, they literally had their name as a stadium in Miami. They were on the umpires' jerseys of every umpire in Major League Baseball. Like, I don't think a celebrity would have or should have felt bad for promoting FTX. I think Bored Apes is kind of in that realm. And also, like, why are people surprised that celebrities are being given or being paid to promote something? I guess you could go into is this a security? Is it a speculative asset investment? But it wasn't like these Bored Apes were ever even like cheap. It wasn't like you were sucking in some 18-year-old to spend $200, $300, $400,000 that they didn't have access to. Like, I don't know who has that kind of money that shouldn't be at least a little bit able to think for themselves. Maybe I'm just completely wrong in that, but like, does that make
Well,
sense to you? Am I just
there's
thinking about
two
this wrong?
people, there's two entities that could
Like,
look at this.
shocking that NBA player that's wearing Nike shoes didn't pay for those Nike shoes.
The SEC would look at this if these celebrities said, you should buy this because I think it's going to go up more in value. None of them did that. That would just
No,
that would be
and
the
I don't think any of them
that,
ever had any intention of selling. Like, sure, they were maybe getting paid on the back end, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy this huge bag of Bored Apes and then just dump them.
Now that's the SEC. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is tasked with regulating advertising here in the United States. We know that in recent times, there has been a law made to make sure that influencers and celebrities tag anything in social media that is an ad with the hashtag ad. Because to promote something like a hair care product and pretend that you are using it because you discovered it and liked it versus the company paid you to use it in your ads, that is illegal. Okay, you must disclose if a company has paid you to use their product in your product. So if you're a social media person and you're putting it on your social media, if Eminem put a Bored Ape in his video, those type of things. Again, this sounds notoriously hard to prove. Eminem could probably have a lawyer show that he really likes NFTs. He really
Right.
loves these Bored Apes. He loves them so much he wanted them in his music video. It was a creative choice. There was no contract with the Bored Ape Yacht Club that said you had to feature these in your music, in your music videos on stage. If there was, I don't know when and where they have to disclose that. I know that if you are promoting something on social media, like it's something that you are using, you must tag it with ad. I know that if a company puts Coca-Cola bottles in its TV show because Coke paid them to, they have to disclose that in the credits. They have to disclose any product placement that was there. I don't know where and how any this will be an interesting case to me from the advertising point of view, but I would assume Bored Ape Yacht Club has lawyers that are familiar with trade law and with advertising law. So I would guess there's nothing in those contracts that could get anybody in trouble. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, I like, again, I feel like this whole like marketing thing would be way more thought through than, like I said, that the Ethereum clone that Kim K was promoting and whatnot, right? Like, it wasn't just like, mention this in your story and I'll give you X amount of thousands or millions of dollars. I think you're right about that kind of thing. Like, I don't know if you've seen it, but I was watching this clip of Snoop Dogg and Jamie Foxx and a couple other people hanging out on like a couch doing like, I guess, a podcast or a video or something, just having a conversation. And Jamie Foxx is doing his Donald Trump impersonation, but Snoop Dogg is sitting there wearing a Bored Ape sweater, right? Like, it's got his Bored Ape on it. It's got the like the leopard print sleeves and whatnot, and like, is that something you have to disclose, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, or did he just like the sweater? I don't know the answer to that, but like, how murky does that water get? And like, again, who sees that and doesn't think that at least that was probably given to him in some way, shape, or form because he owns a Bored Ape? Like, I don't know if I'm just being too surface level with this, but
We need to see what's in the contracts and what's going on here.
yeah, 100-page filing for the protection laws. But I do think that this is an interesting enough case to start to dictate how things start to go forward in the future too, right? Like, we've seen a lot of these conversations about crypto influencers and stuff about, whether they're shilling coins because they like it and getting paid. Are they disclosing properly? Like, how unbiased are they when they're doing a review? I mean, BitBoy was the center of a huge issue with that just a couple months ago, right? Now, now he's kind of brushed that aside, but yeah, I think this is it's going to be an interesting case to watch. I think you're right in the sense that it'll probably just end up in some kind of just settlement.
Yes.
So Interesting, nonetheless. Let's talk a little bit about Valhalla. Valhalla's had its ups and downs, and right now it seems to be having an up. It's sitting at point 0.8 refresh, 0.89 now. It was as low as
Sorry.
what?
Oh, I was excited. That was a sound.
Sounded like a mating call of like a condor or something. I don't know.
Is that why they're outside my window?
You have a high condor population in New York, or those are
No, it's
pigeons?
the first time I've ever seen them. I must have been.
Yeah, that good, eh? Yeah, we're not going down that route. They were as low as I think like 0.45, like slightly below mint price post reveal. I thought the reveal was pretty good. Like I think that they have like a diverse set of traits. Like they look good against each other. The rares look, you can tell that they're rare. They make sense. I don't know that it was changing anybody's lives, but now
If you
they're also
showed me one of these and said it's an Azuki, I would believe you.
yeah, like I said, like I don't think that this was like any groundbreaking art, but after the mint, they did reveal that they would each be getting 5 tokens of the Valhalla token. I can't remember what it's called, but essentially there's a 45
Armory.
the armory, yeah, the 45,000 token supply, and you're going to be able to use these to start swapping out some traits, re-rolling them, and changing your
Not
NFT.
the rares though. They were smart. If you pulled a rare, your rarity is safe. People cannot roll anything rarer than the rares.
Right. Okay.
Just so,
Yeah.
remember, that was my initial
right. Like you mint a rare, and now all of a sudden, like you have all of these other people that are just going to be able to roll.
I had like a 1.2 ETH bid on my rare, and the moment they announced that, it disappeared. Now, once the details came out, they started to creep in, but I was just like, what the fuck? Because why not? It appeals to degens. Why not go gamble for a few rare traits instead of buying it off this? You know what I mean? But
yeah, I mean, they seem to be making some good time-based decisions on keeping interest in this. It wasn't just a simple like reveal, here's the art KPR kind of situation, which is now down to I think 0.18 or something like that. Like they seem to be having some interest in having a marketing plan here. So good for them. Good for.
And they had a spaces with a tier 1 esports team. That probably means something to you nerds. I'm assuming it's important. They won like League of Ego Clash Band.
Yeah, well done.
Rocket Pool something. So it seems that they're important. And again, as somebody who doesn't...
It was the CEO of for some actual context for people listening, the CEO of T1 Esports, which is, like a big name. League of Legends, yes, League of Egos champions.
Right. So I think as someone who doesn't know the industry intimately, if you said, what's the next step FMC, it would be partnering with these teams, because my lizard brain goes, all right, this is a content company. They'd like people to put their content on their platform. You need the people who make the best content. The people who make content people want to see. So those partnerships would be... I know people like to knock Microsoft, claiming the partnerships didn't work. That doesn't mean it failed because of the partnerships. Like the partnerships were not the reason it failed, and you have to do them. I mean,
my only kind of, I guess, thought about this is like they're doing it as an exclusive AMA for the holders, which I guess is a value add if you feel like being in an exclusive chat with Joe Marr, the CEO of T1 Esports, is a big value add. Pretty cool, but like, why not do that publicly? You know what I mean? Like that seems like a good public interview or chat to be having on Twitter Spaces, especially, this is a guy who has now changed his PFP to a Valhalla, 70,000 followers. The T1 Esports Twitter has, 250,000 followers, and much like crypto and NFTs, like Twitter is actually quite a popular platform for gamers too. Like it is a way that content creators and professionals do interact and engage with their their audience apart from Twitch and whatnot. So kind of surprising that they choose to host that kind of big deal thing. I get the town halls for sure, but like that on the Discord, not sure what the logic was on that, but maybe
I think I think it's a classic dilemma for many NFT
it
projects that
is.
want.
It is for sure. I can't discredit that. Like there are definitely reasons to try and funnel people into your Discord, but like it's an exclusive AMA for the holders, you know?
Yeah, and you want exclusivity for the people who hold your NFTs, but a party isn't as good when you limit the people who can go in there. So unless you already
Or
have
is
the
it
coolest,
better?
right, exactly. So unless you already have the coolest and most important people in the club and already there, how do you make it it's this weird balance you have to do. So I just think that they're doing the right things, and I would like to pat the back of this show and say that we got bearish pre-reveal when they were 0.7 and 0.8, yelling at them, saying, what the fuck are they doing? And then we came on the show in 180 when they were 0.5 and said, we're bullish now. And you guys in the comments were even like, oh, for fuck's sake, what the fuck? Well, this is why. You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to kind of follow the ebbs and flows of what they're doing, right? Like I even when we were being bearish on it, there was this like, I hope that they have this thought through and that this is intentional, because minting before Thanksgiving weekend had to have been a consideration in what they're doing. And you either say, they have a plan and they know what they're doing is strange, but they feel like they have a plan that can take them out of it, or they have no understanding of what this is all about and they just didn't care. Happy to say it does seem like they did care, and I always suspected that would be the case. I listened to the teams and the earlier town halls and the welcome meetings and stuff like that. They're organized, they're well thought through, and they're pretty well spoken. So that's something that you can be bullish on. But it was that sudden lack of communication after the mint, which was a little nerve wracking, if I'm being completely honest with you. So
right. And let's look now at the things here that cause this run, what they're doing, and why we can be bullish on it. Now, the whole time, even when the floor fell to 0.45 or 0.5 or wherever it was,
yep.
rares were moving. And I could tell you because I was lucky enough to mint a couple rares. So I was watching all the rare floors. I was comparing my rares to other I got deep in the collection just because I was motivated to. And man, they were moving, okay, regularly. Even with the floor at 0.5, you had the rares moving at 2x, 3x the floor, and you had some big sales on what are their two top end traits, the demons and the eternals.
Yeah.
I think 25 ETH was the biggest sale so far.
26.6 ETH for Valhalla 5088. Yeah. So
Yep. And there was another 25 ETH sale. The snake guy I know went for 25.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
25 ETH flat. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, we've said this time and time again, right? Like, watch the rares. If people are buying rares for like well above floor price, that's an incredibly encouraging sign that people with money are wanting to jump into the collection.
And this was across the board, even with your lesser rares. Like
yeah,
I said,
yeah. There was a good diversity in sales of, even up like, if the floor was at 0.6, 0.7, there was ones going for 1.2, 1.3, 3.5. Like they were moving within range of all of that. It wasn't just like floors are liquid, some rares are moving, and that's it. So pretty encouraging in that regard, as to the fact that it is a healthy collection. And of course, when people are buying up above floors, it means that typically they're buying ones that they like, right? Like
so
that's
many
also
purchases
not to be
like that.
discounted.
Because I would look at one that went for like 1.6, then I would go look at all the floors on the traits, and they were all at like 0.9, 0.7. I was like, oh, like, and the other thing is there's gamification here, and maybe video game people understand how this works, and they're already shopping the things that they know are going to be advantageous within a metaverse or a video game. I mean, weapons obviously matter. Aura is a big thing in all of it, in fantasy games and stuff. It always makes you more valuable if you have an aura or some shit like that. So there are people all weekend shopping rares above floor, rares because they like them. Maybe they think that the weapons have utility, whatever it is. Keeps it very bullish. Then when we were at about 0.53, there was a tweet from a quote unquote influencer king Blackboard, who has, I guess, 45,000 Twitter followers. It was a very Twitter. It was a very generic tweet thread that really didn't say anything interesting or that people didn't know. I'll say the one thing that jumped out to me was that the company here was formed in 2019. Now, why is that important? I got into NFTs in 2019. If you had made me guess before I even started researching here, I would have guessed they were created in 2021, last year, last summer. Bunch of people saying, hey, how could we, take advantage of what? Not nefariously, just how could we get ourselves into this Web3, whatever.
Yeah. How do you leverage your brand and leverage a new technology to take on?
Yep. That, for some reason, just that fact alone gave me a lot more confidence in this project. So you got bullish price action, great marketing so far, gamification on the way, and then the influencer tweets seemed to be like the spark, and now we're sitting at 0.9. We got up to 1.3, I believe, was the highest sales initially when the collection first launched. I tend to believe those opening prices are magnets, so I can see the floor getting there briefly. They probably need something else to take it above, a token announcement. And I don't mean the Armory token. I mean like a literal utility yield, like, oh, now if you stake your Valhallas, they yield this type of thing. Or again, partnerships, game rolling, all the stuff that we don't, about the project rolling out and stuff like that, probably need those type of announcements to get us above 1.3. But given the momentum here this morning, it feels like they want to get back to that opening price, and then we could see from there.
Yeah, my biggest bull case for Valhalla is the art is good, but that's not what's driving my my appreciation for it. The stacked platform, I think, is addressing an issue that's important, particularly for content creators, and getting a bigger, more fair cut of the pie, essentially, when they're creating and working as content and engaging with their fans and whatnot. We all know that Twitch is
holy shit.
What?
Sorry, I just big. I missed it. My bad. I thought it was.
Okay.
I had, anytime you refresh Blur, you have to switch the live thing back to only sales because it goes.
Right.
And then I just started seeing a bunch of crazy listings, and I thought they were sales, and I was like, "What the fucking?"
But yeah, no, like we've seen platforms like Microsoft try and take on Twitch to no success, and people will do well, if Microsoft can't do it, why would this company do it? Well, Microsoft's a big, bulky company. And not leveraging a new technology, and they have a fiduciary responsibility to their stockholders to drive as much value and profit as possible. Starting from the ground up with a new technology and a new company, I mean, there can be a lot of advantageous aspects to this. So maybe they are that young, scrappy startup that can actually take on a titan of industry. Essentially, that isn't even really what's making me more bullish on it. It's if this company, if this team can leverage good branding and an in-depth, intimate knowledge of gaming and esports, and can connect with gamers who are so often just on the outs with NFTs and hate it and hate the idea of them, if they can bridge that gap and they are the front-facing brand to be able to do so and interface with this huge rabid fan base that spends a lot of money on their passion. I mean, let's talk about something that's incredibly needle moving, right? Like this would probably be one of the biggest a group of people that you could switch online into NFTs, and if Valhalla is kind of the name that is associated with that, I mean, it's going to be huge. But that's if everything I'm saying is if, right? And they seem to be on the right track with that.
Yep. And my thought is whether they are long term successful and can actually build the product or not, I believe they are competent enough to make noise along the way. And what that means is there will be moments where it looks like they're going to make it, and they may very well make it. And you're going to see that during those moments, floor price is going to benefit greatly. So, whether you believe deep down in your soul they're actually going to build a viable Twitch competitor may not be important. Are they going to build something that looks like it's competitive?
Yeah,
I think it's possible.
and
Oh,
being
bro, someone just fat fingered. Oof.
on Blair
Yeah, they tried to list for 1.27. Guess what they listed for?
0.127.
I switched to Blur. I said, why is the Valhalla floor 0.1?
Right? Yeah, yeah. Just
I
bricked.
said, that happened fast while we
that-
were talking.
That sucks. We've all been there, unfortunately. Yeah, I
Right.
remember my first foray into making WETH offers on collections well before like you could make a blanket WETH offer, like you had to do it individually, was offering 0.9 for something that was I meant to do 0.09. And that got accepted incredibly quickly. That was painful. And that was when ETH was like $4,000. So that one
Yeah.
stung. Yeah, I know we've all done it to varying degrees.
Yeah. So shout out to 5EC 733. We're with you. We speak your name.
Is that our new thing? Eh? We're going the Oprah route of
I will
the.
take as much from Howard as I can, and the most respectful I consider him a god and look up to him way.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I love looking at the activity feed on OpenSea for Valhalla too, because again, it's just like in the last hour, we're talking floor 0.88, and then 2 ETH, and then 1.1, 2.7, 1, 1,
It's
0.99. Like,
constant. It's constant.
yeah, we're barely even like moving the floor simply because people are purchasing up on that. But those listings are slowly going down. They were up to like 18, 19%. But again, because there was such a wide diversity of them, it wasn't like it was 10% listed at floor. They were listed all over the place. I have one that was like, it's kind of weird. I didn't get overly great rolls on mine. I have three, and I got three humans, which are the lowest tier of them. One of them had like quite a rare hair trait, but not super aesthetically. Like you don't look at that and go, "Damn, looks rare." But it also had 11 traits, which makes it a pretty rare part of the collection. I think it was in the top 3 or 500. But it's human, so I like it. I don't even know how to price that properly. I threw it up
Yeah.
there for way more than it's worth, knowing that it probably won't sell. But hey, if it did, I'd be more than happy to take it. So I think the fun in this is just watching the ride at this point, and they're just doing well. 8,000 ETH in volume so far, and
The fan
that's crushing.
favorites are the mechs, the robots. I have
Yeah,
just consistently seen the mechs go above floor. There's humans, robots, mechs, toxic, which is I guess like a zombie-ish type of thing, and then you have your eternals and your demons, which are your rarest. But the toxic and the mechs, those are, I think there's only 500 of each in the collect or
yeah.
something like that. So if you got a robot or a toxic, they were already above a 1 ETH floor even before the pump. And
Yeah, I had a hard time because when these started dropping around mint price, like I really did think about buying one or two more, and there was a toxic that was like slightly above mint price, or sorry,
yeah,
slightly above floor price. So
floor.
if like
Yeah.
floor was at like 0.5, this was at 0.7. Like I really did. I was like, that might be good, but this is such a hard market right now, right? Because most things that we've seen after reveal just don't carry much weight going forward. And I didn't know if Valhalla would be the exception to the rule or not. But I also have exposure to it. It's not like I'm sitting on the sidelines. So I kind of just stood pat and just said, you know what, I have what I have, and I'm going to be comfortable with that position. 3 feels like a nice number because I know if things go crazy, I'm all right with selling 1.
Yep.
But yeah, I did sit on the sidelines for that toxic one, and now the floor on that is looking like just over 1.5 ETH. So they're commanding some premiums, and
And
that's again a good thing. I'm
I,
happy to see that.
I say the mechs are the favorites because they seem to have the same number as the toxics, but they have a higher floor. So my initial gut was that it was
True, a much
because
higher floor. Yeah, wow, I
yeah,
didn't even notice
yeah.
that. Yeah,
My gut was that it's because it's like a game thing, and mechs would be better in the. I don't know. I honestly don't know, but
no, I think
yeah.
they're more aesthetically striking.
Mm.
I guess I don't know.
Yeah. That could be it too, but
What are the floors on the Demons and Eternals?
uh, above
Wow,
10.
11 ETH.
Yep,
Yeah,
above
those
10.
are some good pulls.
Oof, man, that'd have been nice. That'd have
No
been nice.
kidding. Yeah, I'm not winning the reveal lottery on this project, but that's okay. I know you got some pretty
It's my
solid
best
ones.
2 pulls ever in a collection that's actually worth. So I've had like a number 3
Yeah.
rarity in a worthless collection, but
Right. Yeah.
this is the only collection that's actually worth something where I've pulled rares people seem to want.
No, that's fantastic.
Mm.
I mean, I'm still sitting on my rank 30 Illuminati, so I mean, I always listed that for more than it probably should have been, but I guess I'm holding out hope that that is a team and a project that can, weather the storm and come out of the next side of it, looking like
Yeah, I mean,
aces.
I'm guessing I'm probably selling early here, but I don't know.
Well, you have a great opportunity to sell, some pretty expensive ones, and if you want to maintain exposure to it, just pick up a couple floors in its wake, right? Like
Yeah.
that is not a bad strategy because when the attention starts to die down and things go a little bit quiet, and it will for Valhalla, like it does. I mean, we've seen, quiet spots for Doodles, Azuki, Clone X, where, there's just some dead time in it. The only liquid ones become the floor, really, you know?
Yeah. And I think these are fine NFTs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess the last topic we have, I'll throw some tunage on, and we'll jam out to the end of this. But Cock Punch, Tim Ferriss's NFT, and nothing after mint ripped up to like almost 2 ETH. The reveal happened. Not, I guess, not overly exciting in terms of the art or the reveal, but they have really fallen down. I'm going to give this the old refresh, although I think OpenSea is doing a much better job of updating in real time.
Yeah, can we
0.55
shout out
ETH.
can we shout out OpenSea's user interface, which has just improved by miles in the last month or two.
It really has, yeah. It's gone are the days where maybe there's just not enough volume, but that
Yeah, people can't say shit.
we hated OpenSea, and now they've got the analytics that we all wanted. They've got the WETH offers. It seems to be a much more responsive and usable platform, and I guess that is in trying to keep up with the newer platforms, the Looks Rare, the X2Y2s, the
We're on the way, R2.
Twitter.
82 until 1 ETH. 82.
Is that right? And that is a small amount of volume to
We've
to
sold
get there.
20 while we were on the show. We were at about 100. 99, I think.
Right. So yeah, Cock Punch I guess considered me underwhelmed. Maybe just whelmed. I don't know.
Does he have any immediate plans, or is it just like this is the club and we'll see?
Yeah, I think that's probably more along the lines of what he's doing. But I mean,
People hated his rug pull provision.
The what?
The rug pull provision. He put something in the fine print that said he has the right to. He has the right to abandon the project at any time. He can get bored with it. He's not beholden to, One day he's just going to decide he doesn't want to do it anymore, and he reserves that right.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I guess that
honestly could make a great
cover your ass kind of statement, but
yeah, could make
because
a great
it's a fair point. Like, when does the utility end? When, like, you know, is this just a lifetime commitment now? When you do it, like, no, you have to take a reasonable stab at delivering on the stuff that you said you were going to, for sure.
I think would make a fabulous Christmas gift. If you guys are out there wondering, oh, what is my loved one? You know,
A cock punch.
yeah, check out these 3D medieval roosters.
Yeah, I don't know. This doesn't look good. Could have done better. Could have done better. Although I will say, if the floor price drops a lot, having some exposure to Tim Ferriss is probably not the worst thing in the world you could do. I don't think I'd be buying at 0.55 here, but maybe like 0.2 seems pretty juicy.
Could coins just stop being stupid? If you want a bearish thing, alts led the way down yesterday. Alts have been leading everything recently. Alts led the way down last night. It is spot that is holding up better than alts as we speak. And of course, that's on a relative basis. It tends to always go, you know, down less than alts or up less than alts. But even when you factor in that curve, alts are leading us down in violent fashion.
Man, I was violently hungover yesterday.
Was it beer or hard liquor?
Wine, actually.
Wine.
A lot of wine. I haven't done wine in a while. I haven't had a wine night in a long time, and I did, and it was painful.
I have a wine night every time I look at my portfolio. Wine.
Is that like a triple entendre?
Yes. Yes.
Ugh. 1 p.m. I was in bed eating McDonald's breakfast, just like covered in wrappers and oh god,
love the visual.
Hash brown and
I said I love the visual.
Yeah, not appealing.
I had bought another friendship bracelet at 0.27. They rallied all the way to 0.31. I thought I was a genius, and now they're at 0.25. I think I'm quitting.
Did you sell any of them?
No. No, because I have to stick to my theory that this is going to be a mint pass for art blocks, even though I have been quickly dashed by people who probably know better than me. Like, Snowfro wouldn't do that, bro. He's honest. He's not the type of guy that would do it. And I'm like, that would be like, it is just crazy now. Like, the idea that surprising people with something that could make them rich is considered scummy now because, oh, he didn't tell anyone up front. So, you know, like that type of thing. But there it is. It makes so much sense because this was a snapshot of your wallet if you had art blocks in it at a certain time. So you're a loyal art blocks person that had the art blocks in it this time. They're giving you 2 so you can have a mint pass for yourself and sell one on the other. I mean, this would be the most liberating, wonderful thing art blocks could do for the community. I don't see how it's dishonest, though I don't disagree with people who are smarter than me. And the person who told me knows more about art blocks than I do. I can see. They mint until January 25th. So if they are, we ain't finding it out till after that.
Is SBF on a space right now?
Is he? Is it Mario?
I think it's the Unusual Whales. I saw that they were getting them. Let's see. Unusual Whales. Yeah. Said, I just saw a tweet. SBF just admitted to playing video games while live on Spaces. He's not taking this seriously at all. Yep. Yeah. Maybe go check that out. It's Unusual Whales SBF. I'm not sure when it started, but probably pretty recently. So seems like a good time to wrap it up. We'll be on the Spaces at noon.
Yes, we will.
So yeah, got to get something to eat before that. I'm getting hungry. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we finish?
No.
Think we're good?
Yes.
All right. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening in. It's almost 11 o'clock, so this seems like a good time to shut her down. Appreciate it. If you are tuning in late and want to catch up earlier, we talked a bit about the markets, the CPI print, how boring everything has become. We talked about the class action lawsuit against Yuga Labs and its long list of celebrities that are allegedly paid behind the scenes to promote it. We talked a bit, well, we actually talked a lot about Valhalla and how they're starting to impress and the floor price is going along with it. We talked about Tim Ferriss's cock punch being a bit of a letdown and some other stuff. I don't know. Cool, man. Episode 174 in the books. We will be back live on Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern. Until then, stay safe out there, I guess. I don't know. Free market, say the words.
Good luck at the tables, D-Gen.